Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of our High Level Masterclass series. If you're brand new to what we're doing here, you are getting ready here to experience a whole new way of learning. In each of our masterclass sessions, we dive deep into a specific topic with an expert from our community. So help me welcome in the comments below Bruno Souza to today's masterclass. If you haven't had a chance to meet Bruno yet, he's the founder of Black Swan Media. He serves over 300 clients. A good amount are in the home services industry. Today, Bruno and I have put together a topic here to make sure that you can take this and run with it immediately. And he's going to share his secrets in this masterclass titled How to Make an Extra $300 a Day by Selling Marketing Services and Letting AI Do the Work, even if you have zero experience with AI or marketing. And there's three important pillars here that we're going to be going over in depth. And that first pillar is the exact strategy that Bruno used to make his first $10,000 in 30 days. The second pillar here is how can you copy his business model in less than 30 minutes? And then the third and final pillar here is three strategies to land your first AI marketing client in the next 24 hours and how to scale this business model in your local area. Bruno, that was a whole lot of information. Great to see you and finally have you on our masterclass stage.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the masterclass stage.
I got to meet Bruno at our Level Up Summit Affiliate Marketer Day that is dedicated to our top affiliates. So it's great to have you here. Bruno, for those that don't really understand high level and the power of it, could you share a little bit about why you went all in on it and your trust in the ecosystem?
Absolutely. So we will get into depth in it in the presentation, but the easiest way that I can explain it is that I kind of grew up knowing that the 9 to 5 wasn't going to be for me and that I wanted to be really wealthy. And I knew that wasn't going to happen with a job. And so from a young age, I was like trying out all these different businesses and pretty much whatever was going on the internet. It's like I was trying it, I was losing money, and I'm like, man, this business model's not working. And then I went all in on HighLevel because HighLevel was really the first business that I was able to pick up as somebody that was a newbie and immediately start crushing it. Where I remember the first time I got a paycheck from a client for HighLevel services, I remember being like, holy crap, this whole making money online thing is real. And that right there, that's what lit the fire and made me go all in on it.
Could you share a little bit about what you're about to share and why it's that easy to implement?
Yeah, I think we all tend to have this belief that some things tend to be too good to be true. In a lot of cases, they are. What made high level different from a lot of the too good to be true things out there was that it's a business model where when I show it to somebody, the first thing that they always say is, this makes sense. Where it's a business where you're really only getting paid and making money for yourself if you're doing a good job for other people, which means you're going about the world creating value, creating win-wins, and it's it's really at that essence right there that makes it so it's not a too good to be true situation because everybody walks away winning.
This title's got me pumped. I got my notebook out. Let's rock and roll.
Awesome. Let's do it. So the title of this presentation is How to Make an Extra $300 a Day by Selling Marketing Services and Letting AI Do all the Work. I know that immediately sounds too good to be true, but trust me, as we get into this, you guys are going to see that this is real. And I'm going to show you how you can do this even if you have zero marketing experience or have never even worked with AI before. And so breaking down what you're going to be learning today, there's a couple of things. First, I want to show you the exact strategy that I personally used to make my first $10,000 online with HighLevel in about a 30-day time period. And I was able to do it all without cold calling, without running ads, because I didn't know how to do any of those when I was starting. I'm going to show you guys how you can copy this business model in literally less than 30 minutes. And that's probably one of the most incredible things about this. I'm going to give you 3 strategies that you can use today to get your first AI marketing client. And one of them is literally copy and paste. So actually by the end of this presentation, you can take that copy paste strategy, use it, and you could have a couple clients lined up. And then I'm going to show you guys how I was able to take this very simple business model, scale it to past $10,000. Now, kind of the first thing that I want to address here is that if this training is really going to be worth your time, because there's a million things you could be doing right now. You could be watching cat videos, you could be on TikTok, but you're choosing to spend this time here with me. And so the first thing that I want to address is this is not going to be one of those presentations where I'm going to be pitching or selling a program to you. Instead, I'm giving you a lot of things for free here. Down below and throughout this presentation, you're going to find a link for a 30-day free trial of HighLevel. If you do start your free trial using that link, you're going to be getting access to my snapshot. If you don't know what that is yet, don't worry about it. It essentially just means that 80% of this business is going to be pre-built for you. And you're going to get free access to my AI marketing community where you can come and learn with me, hang out with me live, and go more in depth with all of this. And so in a second here, I'm going to be going into a lot more detail, but kind of the first thing that I want to establish is in about last year, I wanted to see if there was really any power in AI or if it was going to be one of those like trends or fads that come and goes. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of business models where they pop up and then a year or two later, they were gone. And these were the results that I personally got just from launching this as kind of like a little side hustle, completely separate from my main marketing agency, where year one, we did $286,000 in sales. And then this year so far, we're at about 658K. And next year, this will probably be my next seven-figure business. But while the money is impressive, the thing that was more impressive is that while pretty much every other online entrepreneur that I know had spent the majority of the last 2 years working in a home office, I got to spend my time traveling. And while I was traveling, my business was growing. While I was enjoying life, my business was growing. I didn't have clients calling me or annoying me or just bothering me in general. And I want that contrast to kind of sit in because I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this because while I was flying private jets in Sweden or yachts in the Hampton or going into underground lakes in Tulum, I wasn't really having to fulfill for my clients because that's the power of AI and that's what AI can do. And what I want to emphasize here is that while I was enjoying my life, one of the things that I said earlier in this presentation was that this was all about creating win wins. And so this is a screenshot here from one of our clients where while I was enjoying my life, guess what? They were enjoying theirs because they were able to make an extra $8 million over the course of those 2 years. And so while the idea of you selling digital marketing, but then letting AI do the work sounds a little far fetched, this is the power of what you can tap into here, where you get to create that passive income for yourself. And then you're also creating these huge wins for your clients. So everybody's walking away happy. And now, if we are anything alike, and probably one of the biggest takeaways that you're going to walk away with from this presentation is that what, and I'll share a little story. Like when I first got into online entrepreneurship, I really did it because I wanted three things out of life that made me virtually unemployable. And it was that I wanted location freedom. So I wanted to be able to work from wherever I wanted. I wanted time freedom because I'm just terrible with bosses. Like I don't like being told what to do. It's like, good luck trying to get me on a schedule. And then I wanted income freedom because I really thought the idea of like living life and then only getting paid a $75,000 a year salary, I knew I could do better. I knew I could do better than that, and I knew I could do more. And so all of this started to become a possibility for me when I started to play around and explore HighLevel. But HighLevel wasn't the first way that I got into the marketing space. I actually started an agency, Black Swan Media, 4 years ago. And what ended up happening is I found a little bit of success, and I'll go into that in a bit. But really, I was working 60 hours a week in a home office. I was really stressed. I was really uninspired, burnt out, had clients bothering me all the time, trying to micromanaging me. And I was making a little bit of decent money, but I wasn't living life. And the reason that I put this presentation together and what this event focuses on is I just want you guys to be able to go into the online space, avoid all the mistakes that I made, so that way you can get it right the very first time. Because back when I was starting, I didn't have access to knowledge like this. And so this is almost a presentation that I wish I had access to back in the days. And what I want us to do is I want you guys to hold me accountable here, where I'm going to make this really big promise to you. And it's that by the end of this masterclass, I'm going to be showing you, or you're going to be knowing exactly how to start a highly profitable AI marketing business in the next 7 days. And on top of that, I'm going to make sure that you're getting access to all the tools that you need to launch this business and have that level of success. Or once again, you can get access to the 30-day free trial of Go HighLevel at any time throughout the presentation. You're going to get access to everything that you're going to see in this presentation pre-built and sent to you. And if you want to learn more in depth, feel free to come join my AI marketing community. It's completely free if you start that free trial using the link here. And so with that said, I want to take a second to really introduce myself, because you guys are going to meet a lot of online gurus, online educators, TikTokers, Instagrammers that are out there teaching people how to make money when they themselves don't have a company to back up what they teach. And so, just a little bit about me. My name is Bruno Souza. I started my first marketing agency at 23, Black Swan Media. I've had different versions of Black Swan, but 23 was the first attempt. And when I started, it was really just me. It wasn't a situation where my dad was a business owner and he taught me how to start a marketing agency, or I had never worked in the marketing space before. Like a lot of you guys, I genuinely had no idea what I was doing. I was just watching online videos to kind of start and figuring it out, and had 0 employees, 0 clients, really building it from scratch. And like JB said earlier, I was able to grow it to 45 employees, where we now work with Fortune 500 brands. We have over 300 local clients. We've generated over $100 million in revenue for our clients. And all of this success started as soon as I found HighLevel, which is why I am so passionate about it. And for most of my career, I've really kept things underground where, and you guys might find this surprising, but I am quite the introvert. And over the last couple of years, I started to get invited to come speak, to kind of share, because people started to see like, hey, here's this young kid who's actually applying things, and it's working. Like, who is this kid? And so I started getting invited to some of the conferences. I've spoken at the HighLevel Summit, which, to the HighLevel team, thank you. That was such an honor. But the reason that I'm getting invited to all these speaking events and to private masterminds is because I'm kind of the person that you go to when you want to learn marketing that works, especially in the agency space. And long story short, the reason that I'm taking the time to explain this to you is because a lot of people see me as a credible source of information. And more importantly, I'm not one of those people that makes all of their money by teaching other people how to make money. Instead, I have a very long track record of success in the marketing agency space. And the reason that I'm stressing all of this, the reason that I'm showing you all of this, is because look, I don't know why you're here on this presentation today. Maybe you're doing it because you're into the toys and the fancy cars. Maybe you're doing it because you want more income for yourself. Maybe it's for your family. You want to have more time for them. Or maybe you just want to work a little bit less and be able to make a little bit more. Maybe you're a business owner looking to scale your business. There's going to be a million reasons, and I don't know which one of them you're here for. But what I can tell you right now is that I not only have the experience building online businesses that have gotten me those things, but I want to stress that it really came down to a singular decision that I made a couple years ago. And it was the decision to escape the traditional agency model and to start using HighLevel. And so, look, I'm not going to take hours and hours to go into my backstory here because we don't have a ton of time, but I do want to share just a little bit with you about how I started. And so let's jump back to 2017. I was stuck working a 9 to 5. I was working for a bank. I was making just enough money to survive and definitely not enough to thrive. And just real quick in the comments, if any of this sounds like you right now, if any of you guys resonate with this, give me a 1 or put it in the comments. But I think above everything else, I just hated that my income was limited, where I knew that no matter how hard I worked, I was never going to make above a certain amount of money. And I hated that feeling because I really felt stuck. I felt stuck income wise. I felt stuck location wise. I felt stuck in life. And I really didn't know how to break free. But what I did know was that if I didn't make a change, I was going to be locked into a life that I wasn't exactly excited about. But the problem that I had at the time was that I only had 42 bucks to my name. Now, how many of you guys right now watching this, like, let's not say you hate your life, like, let's not go that far, but how many of you would say that if you kept things exactly as they were right now, that it wouldn't exactly make you feel excited about the next 40 years? If we're anything alike, then you and I both have gone through that phase where we want more for ourselves. We want better for ourselves, and we know that there's better out there. And that's exactly where I was. I wanted something different. I wanted something more. And quite frankly, I never dreamed about becoming a millionaire or having a company with 45 employees. I just wanted enough money to be able to comfortably do stuff on my own terms. And like I kind of alluded to earlier, I tried almost everything where I tried crypto, I tried MLM, social media, Amazon, ecom, trading. And what I started to realize is that there was a couple reasons why all those businesses had failed me. And I'm going to try to skip over a lot of those, but what it just came down to was that they were business models that they didn't make a lot of sense once you thought about them. With trading in crypto, I never thought about it, but I was competing against BlackRock and multi-billion-dollar hedge funds with quantum computers that'll spend billions of dollars just so they can trade a fraction of a second faster than me. With social media and SEO, I was at the mercy of different algorithms. With Amazon and e-commerce, I'm competing against Jeff Bezos, Jack Ma, and all these other billionaire genius retail people. And I'm this like kid in his 20s. No wonder none of those businesses made sense. And so I started looking for something different. I was started looking for like, what's a business model that makes sense? And then I realized something interesting. I realized that no matter what I was seeing online, no matter what the gurus were selling, at their core, they all had a single skill, and it was digital marketing. And I realized that at the heart of every successful local business was digital marketing. At the heart of every online business was digital marketing. And it made me realize that probably what the most consistent path to wealth was going to be through digital marketing. And so that's when I went ahead and I started my first agency. And so how did I do? The upside to the first iteration of Black Swan Media was that I was able to make about $4,000 a month really quickly just by going through freelancing websites and applying for freelancing work. Now, $4,000 a month, it's not life changing if it's your full time thing, but it was life changing in the sense that it showed me that making money online was at least a real idea. Now, I'm really curious, and because I'm going to be reading all the comments, if right now you work your 9 to 5 and you haven't made your first dollar online, leave a comment below. And if you have made your first dollar online, then leave a comment as well. I want to see how many of you guys have had that same realization that I have that, hey, you can make money online. But, anyways, point being is that after about a year of trying things on my own, I got stuck again. And so I finally went and hired a mentor. And when they looked at my business, what they found out was that I was overcomplicating things. I was using a business model that was taking too long to get results because at that time, all I was selling was SEO. I was going into something that there was a lot of expertise required. Now, SEO has been around for 20 something years, which meant that I was competing with a lot of veterans. And then I was also in a place of a lot of financial risk because I was having to spend a lot of money. Clients were stable, and none of it was really making that much sense when we added it all up. And what they ended up telling me was that the right way to build an online business, if you want that consistent source of online income, is that you need a business model that you can get really fast results with, not only for yourself, but for your clients. You need a business that doesn't really require that much prior experience. If you're going into an industry where you're competing with people that have been around for 50, 60, 70 years, you're going to have a tough time. And then you need a business that's risk free to start and risk free to scale. And if you take these three things that you see here on the screen and you evaluate them against any opportunity that you're thinking about going into, and that opportunity doesn't fulfill these requirements, then you're going to something that's very high risk. But if you have these three things, then guess what? You're going to have a really, really easy time scaling a business. And that's exactly what my mentors ended up giving me. They showed me a business model where I could get clients within 24 hours and deliver results for them within those 24 hours. They showed me how to skip the learning curve by getting a playbook of what already worked in the business. So that way I wouldn't have to learn things from scratch. And then they showed me how I could leverage free resources to start that business and get profitable with it. And the results, they spoke for themselves because within 2 days, I was able to get my first client that paid me $3,000. And I'll go into exactly how I did that in just a moment here and get into the tactics in just a moment. Within 30 days, I'd made my first $10,000. And then 3 years later, I made my first $1 million. And the reason that I'm sharing this all with you is because you can probably guess by now that if I'm on a high level masterclass and I'm talking about high level, that kind of the secret ingredient there was that I ended up finding high level. And so I just want you guys to keep in mind as you go through this presentation that if all you're doing is you're learning, but you're not taking action, then you're not going to get that much value from this. And so I want to invite you guys to let this sink in more than just on this call. You guys are welcome to join my AI marketing community. You're going to get an already built copy of this business via a snapshot, which you'll learn more about in just a minute here. And you get to come learn and hang out with me live. That comes with a 30-day free trial of Go High Level. And so you guys can see that link there. It's on that bottom bar on a bunch of the slides here. But anyways, I could teach you guys the old way that I used, but just straight up HighLevel has really evolved over the last couple of years. And so there's a much better and easier way to do these things. And so I'm going to teach you guys the new way, if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, the comments are on fire, Bruno. And what's really awesome about this is the delivery, right? Like everyone has their own way of learning, and I see in the comments that a lot of people are appreciating um, your speed, your tone, but also your understanding of you were in that seat once before, and you kind of went through this pain, and now you have the answers, and you're excited to share with others. So thank you for just kind of unpacking that foundation that a lot of people sometimes miss that part before they get into the learning of the actual items. Quick question for you though, Bruno. Do you mind sharing, as you were consuming this type of information in your early journey, what did you find was the best way for you to hold yourself accountable to implement?
So, two things, and I hope you never have to do the first one. The first one was that I really had my back against the wall and I had no other option than to do things and succeed. Where I I was trying to skip the story because it can sometimes take a little bit of time, but I'll just share it real quick. Where it was Valentine's Day of 2017. I walk into this grocery store and I essentially start having like an existential panic attack because I see this wall of flowers in front of me. I have $42 left to my name. I had walked into that store to buy food with the last little bit of money that I had left. But at the like when I saw those flowers, I remember that my girlfriend at that time had never got flowers before in her life. And I remember I was sitting there thinking like, do I get flowers? Do I get food? What do I do? The flowers were 37 bucks. And what really held me accountable was a coming to reality moment where I realized that I had failed as a man. Not to get into the whole masculine stuff here, but I realized like I can't provide for my partner. This isn't the kind of man that I wanted to grow up and be. I knew I could do so much more, and I just started to let the shame sink in of not being able to provide for my partner, where we're having to split bills, barely being able to go on dates, of knowing that like, hey, one day when I have kids, my kids are gonna have to look up to some other guy because I couldn't step up to the plate and be the hero in their lives. And so the first thing that held me accountable was just like this breaking point of, holy crap, I could have done so much more in life, and yet I didn't. And I knew that I could because every day I'd log onto social media and see the all the different influencers like posting up their lifestyles of just travel and fun. And then there I was just stressed out all day, all the time. And so that was kind of the first moment of accountability. It was a moment of honesty and admitting to myself, like, yo, bro, you failed. And it's not anyone else's fault other than your own, because at any time you could have logged onto YouTube and instead of watching music videos or watching live streaming or gaming, you could have been learning and educating yourself. And so that was the first moment that kept me accountable. But then the second, what kept me accountable as I went through the journey was having a community. And I'm not saying like go fire all of your friends, all of your family members, but what I personally did is I started spending a lot more of my social time with other business owners, where I'm joining communities, hanging out with other marketers, talking with them, hopping on extra calls. Instead of going out on the weekend to grab a couple of cocktails and a beer, what am I going to do? I'm going to be spending it at a mastermind with other local marketers. And I think those two things of having the internal motivations, but then having the external accountability, if you combine those two, that's what I think can really laser somebody's path towards success. Because the thing is, like, we never get to choose where we start on our journey or on this path, but we can choose where we go. And if we have the right motivations and the right people to keep us in line, then we tend to get there, even if it takes some people a little bit longer. And so I hope that helps and answers the question, JB. And if you guys can relate at all to at least what I went through, then leave it in the comments below so that I know I'm not crazy and I'm not the only one. But with that said, let's start talking about the new way of doing things, which is going to be through AI. Because when you guys start using AI, you're going to see that you can use it to get fast results for yourself and your clients. Believe it or not, but I'm going to show you guys a way where you can get into the AI business without you having to do any bit of coding or understand AI at all. And I'm going to be showing you the risk free way of doing all of this, including getting clients. And so, real quick, just for some context, according to McKinsey, about 24% of current educated workers are going to be replaced with AI over the next 6 years. Meaning that if right now you have some kind of job where it requires a college degree, there's a 1 in 4 chance that that job is no longer going to exist. And I believe this was by 2027. Couple more stats. By 2027, about 50% of transportation jobs should be replaced with AI, about 86% of food service and retail, 65% of office jobs. And this stat was from the World Economic Forum instead of McKinsey. And then back to McKinsey, 30% of medical and healthcare will be replaced. But the more interesting one that we should all be paying attention to and care about is that 72% of marketing will involve AI, and I want you to just pay attention to that number because AI is a $1.65 trillion per year industry. And this means two things. That number one, business owners are investing a lot into AI, but more so, I just want you to have this visual in your head of imagine a ship sailing like a sailboat, and if that ship is going against the wind, it's going to have a really, really hard time picking up speed. But if there's a massive tailwind behind it, pushing it, that ship's going to go really fast. And that's what we're seeing with AI right now, where you have an industry where there's all these incumbents, there's all these marketing companies that have been around for years and years and years and decades. But guess what? They are actively losing market share because there is a ton of money, 72% of it, that's flowing out of traditional marketing agencies and into AI agencies, meaning that business owners are actively looking to find ways of using AI, and they're more than happy to pay a ton of money for it. Now, I really want you to let that sink in once again, because there's probably been a couple of times in your life where you saw a rising tide and maybe you didn't take action on it. Maybe it was crypto. Maybe it was when Amazon started to pop off for the first time. Maybe it's when YouTube became a thing and you could have been a content creator or whatever it is. This is another one of those rising tides where you're getting the chance to get in this while it's still easy, while it's still fresh, and while there's no saturation. And to tell you guys the truth, I almost didn't get into AI. I almost kept things just the way they used to be into my agency. And part of the reason why is because I thought that it was going to be too complicated. I thought I was too late to get started. I thought that because I didn't know anything about AI, I'm like, I'm never going to be able to figure this out. I'm not like the most educated person. Like I am a college dropout. So I'm like, there's no way I'm going to figure out this tech. And I could see it working for other people because I saw successful AI companies start to pop up. But I was like, no, that's not going to work for me. But I just want to stress that my big breakthrough with AI and automations and HighLevel, it didn't come from something that was complicated or high risk or that took a long time to implement or that it was a massive hassle to figure out. It came from something that was simple, fast, and risk-free to start. And the kind of the cool thing is that the passive income formula and the reason why this works so well is because they go hand in hand. Because what we're really doing here with AI, with SaaS, with HighLevel, is that we're setting up a software product. We can sell it an unlimited number of times, and we don't really have to do additional work because the AI does the job for the clients. And this is almost the opposite of traditional marketing agencies and business models, where the more clients you get, the more work you have to do. And the fact that HighLevel cuts that portion out, that's what gets those results, like you saw earlier in this presentation, where I'm able to travel for 2 years and my clients still get to make a ton of money. And nobody calls to complain because trust me, they're happy when they're making 8 million bucks over the course of 2 years. But this is at the core of passive income. And this is why it makes sense. And it's not one of those too good to be true situations. And I really do mean that because if I let my skepticism get the better of me, if I had never taken action, if I just kept believing that, okay, AI is going to be too overwhelming, that, or I'm not going to be good enough to do this, then I would have stayed stuck in my traditional agency, version one of Black Swan Media, working 60 hours a week and really just struggling to grow. But because one day I made the singular decision to just try HighLevel out, to start looking at some HighLevel videos, I was able to completely transform my life where today I have that massive amount of passive income coming in. And I'm able to do it in a way where if my friends ask me, like, hey, do you want to go on a 3 month vacation tomorrow? I could say yes without having to think twice. That's the power in what we're doing here today. And so, with that said, I hope you're into the freedom lifestyle as much as I am, but let's get started with the practical side of the training now that you know a little bit about my background and how I got into HighLevel. And so, pillar number one of what we need to build a highly scalable online business is going to be a business model that can get fast results. And so, real quick, let's just take a look over here at HighLevel's AI and all the different core areas. You have voice AI, conversation AI. And so, that's kind of like a little chatbot that you can hook up to either SMS, website widgets, Instagram, Facebook. You have the review AI, you have funnel AI, which this is so cool. You can literally have a funnel or website built in seconds. You have content AI, and then you have the workflow assistant AI. Now, on the surface, if you're anything like I was when I was a beginner, you might think that to make the most amount of money, you have to learn, master all six of these AIs and start using all of them. But the secret to getting fast results is that you have to start with just one or two of these AI areas and go deep into it. And so let me show you what I mean very practically. So, like JB said earlier, I'm really big in the home improvement space. We work with some of the biggest companies here in the United States in the home improvement space. And right now, each of their franchises, each of their locations, at a bare minimum, they're paying $600 a month for an answering service for after hour phone calls and about $1.5 a minute. That's about $900 to $1,000 per client per location just to have somebody take the calls after hours. So after the business closes. On top of that, the average front desk admin, they're going to cost about $3,500 a month or close to doing some head math here, but close to $40,000 a year. And this is kind of our opportunity in here because all that's really happening with all of these people that they're doing is they're fulfilling three tasks that we can outsource to AI. And that's going to be answering calls, getting the customer's information, and then scheduling appointments. And in less than 15 minutes, I can really show you guys how to fulfill these three tasks that you saw here using HighLevel's AI. And not only are we going to be able to save our customers a lot of money, but even just the initial testing that we've been doing with the voice AI, we've been getting better results with AI admins than with human admins when it comes to scheduling appointments. So we're making them more money while saving them money.
Yeah.
And
So
so go ahead.
if I could jump in here really quick. So you opened up right now. My brain is processing and the aha moment for me. And if you agree with me in the comments below, please let me know if you caught on to this. Bruno knows the business importance of his customer, right? So he mentioned he works with some of the top home improvement businesses. The franchises are paying for an answering service. He did some back of the napkin math. He put two and two together and he was able to say, hey, look, you can keep what you have, but here we can replace it with something smarter, better, and more efficient. So he understood the operating of that business. Bruno, could you share a tip or two on how you start to build this business acumen as a brand new person in the industry?
Absolutely. And I'm excited you said that because that's something we do cover later in the training, but I will go into it a bit now, where what it comes down to is having an inquisitive mind and building relationships with your clients. When you hop on a phone with them and you start talking to them and you position yourself as like, hey, and I'm going to explain this in HighLevel terms here, not HighLevel the software, but top level, I guess, where a lot of the way that I position myself when I'm picking up clients is like, hey, I'm not here selling you a commodity. I'm here to be almost like your partner in this business where I'm going to do everything in my power. I'm going to move hell and earth to make sure that you are profitable with our marketing. And that's a big reason. That's also a big reason why I got into high level, because I did it for my client success. And so when I'm sitting down and talking with my clients, I'm trying to find out as much as I can about their business. Oh, what's your conversion rate with your different salespeople? Oh, okay, you're not tracking that. Okay, so I'm making a note of that. What's happening when you miss a phone call? Okay, you don't know how many calls you're missing. You don't have an answering service. Okay, I'm making a note of that. Oh, you do have an answering service. How much are they charging you? How much are you spending on that? Okay, making a note of that. And then what's their conversion rate? And so what it comes down to is really having a curiosity about understanding your client's business and the niche. And if you sit down and talk with your clients and position yourself as not just the commodity, not just the marketing guy or gal, but as the person that really wants to have a long-term partnership and to help them grow over the next couple of years, they're going to open up to you. And especially if you have a tool like HighLevel in your arsenal, guess what? You're going to be able to fix a lot of those holes. And so that's how I started to get that business acumen and get that data. It's really just by talking with people and telling them, like, hey, I want to do the best possible job. Is it okay if I ask you a couple of questions? Did that answer the question?
Absolutely. And now I'm thinking about this. If I'm brand new here and I'm thinking, all right, I want to work with contractors like Bruno started. And I'm thinking in my mind, and just guide me, correct me if I'm maybe going too in depth here, but let me go and go on YouTube and see how they're creating these businesses. So if I want to start working with fencing contractors, because I started building fences a little bit in early college years. Now I'm understanding what it is to build a fence company. I kind of know what the ingredients are for that fence launch. Would that be a good way to kind of like get my feet in the door to understand from their point of view?
That would be a good way. I would say the two best ways for you to get your foot in the door are going to be number one, if you know anyone personally, like an old employer or a friend, go ask to talk with their boss. And a lot of times, these people, they're going to be happy to sit down with you and explain to you. And let's just hypothetically say that you can't do that by any means. I would walk into a company and ask for the business owner and offer them 100 or 200 bucks and just ask them for 30 minutes of their time and just ask them questions. And I would tell them like, hey, I'm up and coming. I'm really interested in AI marketing. I want to build a really good product. I'm willing to pay you 200 bucks right now just for 30 minutes of your time if I could just ask you some questions. Like do
Awesome.
what it takes for you to get that customer information, because once you do, you can use that forever and it's going to make selling a lot easier when you know your customers.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you. I never thought of it that in depth, right? Just doing the interview, paying for that time, and even just the likelihood of them not accepting the money might be like, look, man, it's all good, whatever, whatever, that's fine. But if they do take the money, you own that information. There's no handouts. And I think that's the biggest thing in this business. No one's getting any handouts. And any blue collar business owners are going to relate to that. Like I earned everything on my own. So I appreciate you sharing that. Thanks for unpacking it. Back in the seat, taking notes.
I'll add one last little tip there for everybody, and it's that the most negative thing that'll happen if you try that bribing tactic that I just shared is that business owner is going to think like, "What are you, from one of my competitors?" Because I got that before, and uh, and so all you really have to do in that situation is like, "No, look, like let me show you. Log into your high level account, show them like, look, I'm trying to build an AI marketing company for contractors. I'd actually love to give you a demo." And just like that, you're now kind of flipping the situation and turning them into a potential client. So that's the last little tip that I have to bring there, because I know some of you guys are going to get business owners like skeptical of like, why are you paying me for my time to ask me questions on my business? And so with that said, let's go back into this, and you guys can set a timer on your phones. You're going to see it takes literally less than 15 minutes to set up an AI voice company that can replace call centers and kind of fulfill these tasks that you see here and start tapping into that market. And so, and by the way, this all assumes that you've already started your free trial of HighLevel, because you're going to need access to it to actually implement this. And so, because this is going to be recorded, you guys can pause right now, start that free trial, and literally follow along with me. This is going to be step by step. And so, kind of the first thing that you want to do is you want to go over to the voice AI agent. Now, if you don't even know where to find that, you're either going to see Season of AI on your top left menu, or if you go into any sub account settings, you're going to find the voice AI agent. And this is how easy it is to build AI. You have three tabs that you guys have. I don't know if you can see my mouse on the screen, but you have three tabs on the top left. You have agent details, agent goals, and phone and availability. All that this is like, imagine like when you were a little kid and you went to like Applebee's and they gave you the coloring book, and then they gave you crayons and you just had to color in the lines. That's kind of what HighLevel's done here, where all we have to do is just fill these things out, and it's like filling in the coloring in the lines, but for adults, where we get to name our agent, and then we have our business name, and then we get to pick what voice we want our AI voice person to have. And of course, I picked Natalie because I love the posh British accent. And then you only have one option for call direction right now, so you don't even have to worry about that. And then you have the agent's initial message, which this really going to depend on what industry you're going into, but it can just be like, "Hi, this is Sally from so and so company. How can I help you?" On the next screen, this is where we're going to start having some fun, because now we start building out the AI agent itself. And so first thing that we want to do is we want to switch to advanced mode, and don't be scared. What you're going to find is that all AI agents, they have some kind of prompt or some kind of instruction. And the easiest way to think about it is, imagine you're giving instructions to your son, your daughter, a high school kid, and you just need them to follow those instructions. And so right off the bat, you're probably thinking like, well, I don't know how to instruct AI properly. Well, how do we do it? What we let's go to what we do is we copy the default prompt that HighLevel has given us, and then we use another AI to make it better or fill it in. Where then, look how easy this is. I am creating an AI voice agent that helps home improvement companies specializing in roofing to answer inbound customer calls after business hours. I'm giving you a sample prompt and want you to improve it. You can paste this into Claude or ChatGPT. Those two are always competing with each other for which one's going to be the best. So maybe test it out with both. But what they're going to give you is they're going to spit out a prompt. And this prompt is going to give you literally 90% of what you need to have your AI agent built up. And if you didn't want to take a look at it, that's, I guess, fine. But I would go and then just take 5 minutes out of your 15 minutes to read what the prompt says. And that'll give you a crystal clear understanding of like, how does prompt engineering works. And for the record, I only think people call it prompt engineering because they want to make AI sound fancy, when what it really is like a children's coloring book, but given to adults. And so this right here, this does already like 75% of the work for you. And then the next step is we just have to define what the goals of the AI are. And so it can just be to get the customer's information. And so what do we do? Step one, we select the goal. You can see it's a little bit in the background over there. And then this menu will pop up where, once again, just like a coloring book, you just start filling things in. And like, it's actually this disgustingly simple, where I feel like when JB's laughing right now, but when people see this, yeah, AI is nowhere near as hard as I imagined it would be. And I hope you guys are starting to see that as well, where I'm just telling the AI, like, hey, get their first name, get their address, get their email, get information about the project. And then boom, we've now replaced a call center and admins in about like 5 minutes. But then let's say we want to get a little bit fancy. We want our AI to be able to book sales appointments as well. Well, now is when we can start playing around with HighLevel's other AIs, where we can make a workflow. If you haven't made a workflow yet, you have no idea what any of this is, like you don't have a basic education on HighLevel yet, then once again, please guys, start that free trial of HighLevel, join the AI marketing community. I'm going to give you the education that you need to understand like what this means. But we've kind of followed that same framework, where all we do is we take the default prompt that you're given for a HighLevel appointment booking bot, because yes, they have bots that can book appointments. We copy, we paste it into ChatGPT or Claude. I am writing a prompt to create an SMS conversation AI bot. The goal of this bot is to schedule an appointment for customers interested in home improvement projects. Here's an existing prompt. Please make it better. And then you just paste the default HighLevel prompt. And if you're, once again, if you're seeing this and you're like, this is way too simple, like the reason I make this for monkeys is because I am a monkey. And so this is how I learn and have to do things. I'm a college dropout. I have massive ADD. And so my best solution has been to use AI to build my other AI. And guess what? It's a seven-figure company. And so we go back to our agents now. We added the trigger a workflow because then we tell them, hey, when a customer is ready to schedule an appointment, what do? We go ahead and we initiate our appointment booking bot. And I really hope none of my clients see how easy it is. This would be very bad for my marketing agency, but it's amazing for you guys.
But on that note, Bruno, Bruno, I feel like you just had like the wait. I'm pretty much giving all the step by step guide. But here's goes to my next question. The proprietary part of this whole process is the intelligence in the brain and the execution and the self accountability and the team and everything associated with it, right? Because look, someone could easily go on YouTube, type in a problem, and get a handful of solutions. And with a whole bunch of targeting and retargeting, several vendors will be put in front of their face, whether it's while they're watching their favorite TV show or while they're playing their favorite game or they're in between something. It's going to pop up. The objection will eventually come with, hey, Bruno, what am I paying you for? Or why do I need to do what we do? Why is it so expensive compared to A and B? Could you fill in how you start to push back professionally and strategically? Because, like you had said, the product is there, but what's the more to it part of it all? Just to frame the next steps.
Yeah, and so that's an excellent question. And honestly, I'm going to save you guys like $15,000 in sales coaching right now, where the and best way to explain this is you are never actually selling the product. And so even though we're building the product and we're building this AI, when I'm on a sales call with a client, that's not what I'm selling them. What I'm selling them are the results that this is going to get for them. Where then I can say, like, hey, Mr. Client, your call center right now has a conversion of 16%. I'd like to give you a demo of this voice AI. Let's just see how it performs. And then we see that maybe instead of a 16% conversion rate, we're getting, um, let me pick easier numbers here just for the quick head math. Let's pretend it's like 10% conversion rate on the call center. And then with the AI, we're able to get a 15% conversion rate. That's a 50% increase in sales. If my client has a business that's doing like $1 million a year, and let's say 20% of their 20% of the conversions come from after hours calls, that means we can make an extra $100,000 for them by using our system as opposed to the call center. And once again, math without a calculator, not my strong suit. But the point is, we're making way more money for them. And that's what I'm selling the client. And I tell them, Mr. Client, you're not actually paying me for the AI. You're paying me to make an extra $100,000 this year. You're paying me to make an extra $50,000 this year. And the reason why you're paying me instead of doing this yourself is because you don't have the time to do this yourself. You don't want to supervise to do this yourself. And that's where I come in because I'm not only doing this just for you, but I'm doing this for a lot of other people. I know what works. I know what doesn't. You're not going to have to test. You're not going to have to be stressed out about this because I'm going to be handling it for you.
How do you go about to start to profile a avatar that this is good for?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of different ways for you to prospect your leads what based on what industry you're going into, but just generally a couple of like telltale signs. And I'll try to spitball these. Is like number one, you have the LinkedIn Sales Navigator where you can filter a company by the number of employees. Number two, you can go on Google and you can look at the number of reviews that a company has. Or if you're looking at a company that has 3 reviews, that's probably going to be a really small one. But if they have like 500, that's probably a big one that would really benefit from this. And that gives you a rough idea of like how long has this business been established as well as their size. Now obviously that's just a proxy, but just a little bit on my journey on how I grew. It's my first like 6 to 10 clients, they were all just really small local companies, so your penny pinchers, the kinds of people that aren't that good to work with. But I bit my tongue and I worked with them and I worked my tail off to get the best possible results for them. And then what I did is once I had those case studies of those local companies, I reached out to a local franchise of a national company. And I was like, hey, this is the results that I'm getting for like these 10 small mom and pop shops. I can do way better for you. How about I show you? Then you do a good job for that one franchise branch. And then that's when you get access to corporate. And that's how you start the scaling operation. And I think a lot of business owners, or marketing agency owners, especially ones that have been around for a while, they kind of get stuck thinking they have to play the small business game. But it's like, no, you can make the leap to enterprise and you're going to figure it out. So, pretty sure we left off with just how easy it was to connect the AI voice agent to our appointment booking bot. And so, essentially, what's happened so far is that we've achieved pillar number one, where in like 15 to 30 minutes, we're able to build a business that can get fast results. This is something that you could easily sell for $500 a month. You're able to do it without any coding. It's going to run on autopilot once you set it up. And then your clients are going to be they're going to use it immediately, like the night that you make this thing, and they're going to start getting results immediately. And believe it or not, you guys, if you've followed along, if you started the free trial, if you've built this along and like actually tried it for yourself, you now have more AI experience than 99.99% of the population. Like that's how low the bar is right now to get into AI. And the second thing that's happened is, as you just saw, there was no real prior experience required with the AI part. Now, with sales, you might have to have a little bit of experience, but I'll show you how to kind of skip that. But with the AI itself, you just saw that no prior experience was required. And the reason that I'm emphasizing this is because, like, I always have this contrast in my head of like, oh my gosh, what if I didn't take action? What if I never got into this? Like, where would my life be? Because I used to think that it was complicated, but then we just did it in 15 minutes. I thought I was getting into it too late, where I'm like, oh, there's all these people already into AI. There's no way I could catch up. But then I realized, wait a minute, the call center industry, like that's $315 billion a year. And very, very, very few people are using AI, meaning that a large portion of those $315 billion are going to be going to people like me and like you that are getting into AI. I thought that because I knew nothing about it, I wouldn't be able to find success in it. But then once I started playing around with HighLevel, and I'm like, this is actually silly easy and not that complicated at all. I realized, okay, I didn't even need to know anything about it beforehand because it's all just kind of common sense. It's like a coloring book. And because I already had my marketing agency, and I think this is the biggest trap that existing agency owners fall into is they think like, oh my gosh, it's going to take forever to implement this and add this to my SOPs and build it with my team. But we literally did it in like 15 minutes. And so that right there fulfills kind of the second pillar of what we needed, which was we needed a business that we can like set up quickly, we can get results for our clients quickly, and that it didn't require prior experience. And so all that's left is that risk-free way to start and to scale. And I know we just talked about the community, but this is going to be the first free way for you to start this and to scale it. It's to start that free trial of HighLevel, the 30 days. You're going to get free access to my SaaS snapshot. If you don't know what that is, once again, it's like starting HighLevel with a lot of this already pre-built for you. And then you're going to get access to the AI marketing community where you can come and learn HighLevel from me, learn sales from me. And so this is the link below, and it's the same link that you see in that little bar at the bottom there. But with that said, we've already covered how to get access to HighLevel for free multiple times. And so now let's go over how to get your clients for free. Or I should say fast, because I am going to give you one easy paid strategy. And so I'm going to give you 3 methods right now that you can use to get your first client in the next 24 hours without you spending a dime on ads or doing any sort of cold calling. And so method number 1 is going to be a Facebook post. Now, for those of you internet detectives out there, you can actually go on my personal Facebook feed and you are going to find the original post that I had made, like copying this format here, where it's essentially just like, hey, friends, I've recently taken an interest in AI and I've been building AI that helps local businesses blank. This is going to be whatever the result you're offering the business owner. So get more 5-star reviews or book more appointments, whatever that end result is. And then a just simple, here's how it works. Number 1, there's no upfront cost to the business owner. Number 2, they let me set up the AI and then to achieve whatever result. So in the case of voice AI, to take after-hour phone calls. Number 3, the AI will schedule sales appointments for them because that's what it's going to do. And then number 4, we just say people show up ready to purchase and then have that nice little ribbon there to wrap it all up. It's that simple. So if you know anyone that runs a business or does sales, let me know and I'll work with them in exchange for a testimonial. Send me a message or tag a friend. And the way that you structure this is you offer it for free. And what you tell people is like, hey, I'm going to give you a free demo. If you like it and you're 100% happy with the results, this is how much it's going to cost. If you don't think it's worth that much, pay me what you think it's worth. That way, you're making it risk free for them, but then you're able to get paid yourself. And what we can do is we can take this same Facebook posts and we can do a couple more things with it. Where number one, because the Facebook algorithm, it's really only going to show you like to maybe 10% of your audience. You can make this a weekly post. Number two, make sure that you share it on your story. Number three, syndicate it to multiple social media platforms. So if you're on LinkedIn, post on LinkedIn. If you're on Facebook, post on Facebook. If you're on X, post on X. If you're on Instagram, post it on your Instagram story. You literally have nothing to lose and you have tens of thousands of dollars to gain. And so hopefully that's enough to get you over the hump of being shy. And then I'd be posting it every week. But then we can do even more with it. Start joining local Facebook groups. So for example, I used to live in Austin, Texas, and there was a group called New to Austin. And then there was like Austin Professionals, and then there was like Austin Contractors, Austin Home Improvement. There's all these Facebook groups that were local to my city that I could go and just kind of take the same exact post and post it in there that you can use for lead generation. And then you can also join professional groups. So some of my students, I remember one recently where they've been getting all of their clients from just posting every week into a group, a Facebook group for real estate agents that they don't even own, but because they're one of the few people that are working with AI, everybody's biting, everybody's interested. The owners of the group want to find out more. And so this right here, these are just three places that you can go and post like this exact same script, something that's copy paste, low effort, that you can literally pause, do this right now, and then continue the training here. And then by the time you're done, you could have people interested in reaching out to become your clients. And so this is going to be method number one. And if somebody could be nice enough to, or I'll give it to JB and we can leave a comment with the script down, but we're going to find a way of getting the text over to you so you don't have to like stare at the screen and just write it all yourself. But method number two is going to be to ask your friends and family members if they know any business owners or salespeople. This was another thing that I did to get started. So something I forgot to mention is that first $3,000 client of mine, I got that client by just doing this. The next couple of clients that I got were from asking friends and family members and people that I knew, where go to your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your aunt. Hey, mom, dad, do you know any realtors, plumbers, salons, barbershops, gyms, car salespeople, lawyers, restaurants, mortgage loan originators? Ask them if they know any salespeople. Go to your friends and ask them these types of questions and see if you can get introductions and connections, because your friends and your family, they're going to be the people most likely to help you out and honestly not expect anything in return. And just these two methods that I've shown you here, that's already enough for you to make your first $10,000 with AI. And you can take it a step further where if you really want to be strategic about this, make a Google sheet and then start tracking all of your contacts in your lists. Like if you wanted, like, Bruno, what's a homework assignment for this training? I'd say make a Google sheet, put everybody that you know that you could reach out to along with their phone numbers, and then just take a day to text and message everybody and see how many leads you can gather just from that. Method number three that you can use, and this is something a lot of people ignore, is you can, especially as digital marketers, we tend to ignore this. It's join your chamber of commerce or a BNI. And what these are is they are local groups where there's one person of every industry in there. So there's going to be one real estate agent, one SEO marketer, one web designer, one mortgage loan officer, one plumber, one electrician, and so on and so on. And everybody's responsible for sending referrals in there. Guess what's a brand new industry that there's not going to be a person of in that group? An AI marketer or an automation expert. And so you can tap into that and you're going to be instantly plugged into a room with 30 to 40 business owners. And I'm willing to bet that every single one of them is going to be interested in AI because once again, right now we're in the middle of a rising tide.
Like if these local business owners are paying to be part of the chamber, well, they want to get their name out and attract better relationships. If they're going to a BNI at 7 a.m. or they're tuning in weekly and they're paying an annual fee to be part of the BNI, it's the equivalent of being part of a mastermind and paying that fee for a one-time or a 3-day ticket. It's being in the right rooms. Bruno, early in your presentation, you mentioned how, you were working behind the scenes and then you started to get approached on joining these rooms, teaching to these rooms. Could you create that equivalence for someone in their local market doing the same in these chamber rooms and these BNI rooms?
You absolutely can. And I want to emphasize something because I think it's easy to look at what I just shared here and think like, oh, this is really beginner level stuff. Like I'm not going to do it. But I can tell you that most of the top level marketers that I know, they're not part of a chamber of commerce or a BNI. And this is something they could go tap into. Just most people don't want to show up every week for a meeting. And that's okay. But the reason that I'm emphasizing this really is I think one of the mistakes that I made as a beginner is that I overcomplicated things when it came to client acquisition strategies. So before I know how to sell, before I know how to automate, before I know how to deliver the results, I'm trying to figure out how do I also run Facebook ads on top of that? How do I do direct mail? How do I do all of this? And once again, one of the number one lessons from one of my mentors was, hey, cut down on what you're doing and stick to really simple things. And that right there was in like what you're seeing here, and we'll get into the like kind of like the fourth secret strategy later, but what you're seeing here has been enough to get the my AI marketing business from zero to $658,000 a year.
And
That's
now,
Go ahead.
to that point, and this is where the power comes in. Bruno, let's say you're the owner of the different locations of the business. Part of your community outreach is kind of giving back. You're going once a week to this BNI meeting or a LaTip meeting, and you're enjoying it because you make friends and you meet other like-minded people. But now you come across someone like myself who says, "Hey, man, we kick it off," and now you say to me, "JB, come to my office. Let me learn a little bit more of what you do." And now I'm getting invited to this regional meeting with 400 other franchises. And I had no clue. I'm anchoring off of your trust and your interest. And maybe you saw me at that opportunity, like this guy knows what he's talking about. I'm going to help him in my ecosystem and I'll get a benefit too while I'm at it, right? Or I'll just pay him and keep him in house. There's so many of these different ways that I experienced working in different sales roles. And I'm like, man, it's really not about the friends you have. It's about the potential business owners that recognize you know what the heck you're doing. And they want to get around you versus you getting around them.
Yeah, and it goes to that original kind of what we talked about earlier, where the path that I took is I use these strategies here to get in front of a couple of local business owners, got my first handful of clients, got my case studies ready to go, approached a local franchise of a national business, did a really good job for them. And then guess what? Now they're introducing me to all the other branches. And then I'm working with three, five of the branches. And then corporate is like, hey, we're having a conference. Do you want to come and speak and present? It's going to cost you $2,000 to become a vendor here. And I'm like, wait, you're telling me that for only 2,000 bucks, I get to present to 75 business owners that I just have to copy and paste what I'm already doing because they're all literally the exact same business in the exact same niche, selling the exact same products. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm going to do that. And this is kind of the journey. And I hope you guys are seeing like the path from beginner to the level that I'm at now, because it's not all that complicated. You don't have to make it complicated. It's just like one thing leads to the next logical step. Where I remember the first time I presented on stage and sold SaaS, I walked away with $20,000 in monthly recurring revenue from a 45-minute presentation.
Like you had the checklist already aligned of, all right, if I'm going to present this, these are the next three clear steps. And I think sometimes, when I got into my journey, so when I was into working for companies like Thrive, selling yellow pages to get them to websites, to get them to SEO, SEM, to get them to software, it was this trust relationship that they would switch to these different products even though they were used to doing one thing. So I built everything off of trust and communication, which shared what you have shared is where you built your business from at the local level. But I think what I missed out on in my early journey was the checklist. Like you've mentioned a few times case studies already. You've mentioned a few times, networking and building these relationships. Asking someone for a testimonial when things are going not well is not probably the best time to ask. Is there anything else you would say on that checklist? Because we're far deep into this. We're like into execution mode right now. What else should be on that checklist as I'm starting to like get my voice AI set up, get my other products set up, that I start getting these people that are saying yes to me? What else should I be like getting ready to have them do next?
I would say next steps is like, let's say you got a couple leads interested. It's really just onboard them and ask them questions about their business. Like you have to understand the client's journey. So it's like, hey, just so I can understand how your business works, where do you get your leads from? And then you're going to see like, oh, we buy leads from Angie's List. We run Facebook ads. We hire this company. We do that. And then you're like, okay, how do you like those? How are they doing? And it's that onboarding conversation of like speaking with the client, getting to know them. And if I had to like, I guess if I had to boil it down into a checklist, if you want to scale to a seven-figure business, the path and kind of what you need is going to be two things came to mind, and I'm sure a third is going to come up as I share this. It's going to be number one, it's understanding the industry. How do you understand the industry? It's by just focusing on the two steps in front of you right now, which is take these client acquisition methods that I gave you, apply them. That way, you're going to start getting clients, you're going to start getting people interested. That way, you can talk with them and understand how their business works. Number two is get results for them by applying what you're learning here with the voice AI. Or once again, if you join the AI marketing community, I'm going to teach you a lot more, but then build out your case studies. And then just the third thing is understanding if you want to scale, how do you get in touch with the right decision makers that you're looking after? So you can go a spammy approach, which is just like learn Facebook ads and run them, or you can take a more sniper approach, which is what I did, which is like, hey, let's find 10 executives that I want to get in touch with. And by the way, this is a crazy strategy that I did. Wait, let me grab something right here.
All right. Now, if you're tuning in and you're just jumping into this middle of the part, you gotta go back. And
Yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't thrown Bruno off yet, but we've been workshopping this because as he's sharing his strategy, like other light bulbs are going off and the comments are on fire. We got a lot of nice momentum here. Bruno, you got what you needed. What is that?
This, let me get it closer to the camera. Oh, the light is bright. But these are a pair of Adidas shoes. And the way that I got my first national client, and I use a strategy to actually get a couple of like Fortune 500 brands on board and to become clients of mine, where I found like, hey, here's all the executives that I want to work with. I then mailed them a pair of these like exclusive 3D printed Adidas shoes. They only came out once. They were like 75 bucks at the time, and I spent all my money like buying 10 pairs of these shoes. And I sent one shoe to each of these executives and with a simple letter that says, hey, this is my way of getting my foot in the door. Here's what I do. If you want the other shoe, all you have to do is give me a call. Here's my number. And we sent 10. Five people called us back. Three became clients. And that was a sniper approach. And the reason they became clients is because by then I worked with the local companies. I understood how the industry worked. I understood the markets, not like the economy markets, but like their particular markets. I knew how to get results for them. And I'm like, here's case study, here's case study, here's case study. Let me sell you value instead of the product. And so they're like, perfect. Let me loop in my CMO. Let's get started with this.
Yeah, and there's so many different clues that are out there, and you had mentioned like LinkedIn before. LinkedIn is totally different narrative, examples, conversations than Facebook, than Instagram, than Threads, than all these different platforms. And what you shared is an enterprise approach that a lot of enterprise sales executives that make six, seven figures get creative because they're trying to attract people either their age or maybe a little bit older or more experienced, and time is money, and they just don't pick up the phone at entertaining sales pitches. So that's a perfect example for those that are asking, why would you send one shoe? It's creativity. That was my takeaway. It was disrupting their pattern, throwing them off. They are the niceness of the shoe. All right, well, maybe they don't like Adidas, or maybe it's not their size, but at the very least, it was the effort. And people are looking for to work with people with effort, Bruno. But I think this is the best part because our audience has been around that's tuning in, that are users. We're just reinvigorating their sales approach. But our newbies that are jumping in here, like if you didn't find out about HighLevel before, you're gonna be pretty mad by the end of this that why didn't you find out sooner? And it's because we just you didn't have that appetite for it yet. So Bruno, a lot of consumption is has been happening. Do we need to do advertising with paid campaigns to get our first customer? If not, what is the alternative?
No, so I've never ran ads to get a customer ever. Like not even once. I've never spent other than like when I started and I did it completely wrong, but like ever since I had the business figured out, never ran spent a single dollar on paid ads to go get clients because I just literally kept following that blueprint and just like taking it to the next logical progression in the step, which is like, okay, you do a good job for one enterprise company. Guess what? They knew like 50 others. And also, guess what? The one enterprise company that you do a good job for, they already work with a marketing agency, and that marketing agency wants to work with you because they work on like 7 to 8 year long contracts, and if they don't do a good job, they're going to lose out on an enterprise level client that's paying them millions, and so they're going to go to you and be like, "What else do you have? Like, how else can you help us get more results for all of our clients?" And so, like, you don't have to run ads; you can just build good relationships, ask for referrals, but then yeah, at some point, make that leap and go after the whales. Like it is such a simpler path than like first I become a high level master and then second I become a Facebook ads master and then I become a Google PPC master and then I take over the world. It's like no, like I'm like a monkey. I am uneducated. I am so like always looking like what's the how do I just skip the crap and just get what I
You
want?
said it, the next logical step. Dude, the next logical step. Like the micro, like just what's that next? Do I walk forwards or do I walk backwards? Like, do I look both ways before I cross the street or do I just randomly cross the street? Like, you're breaking it down in such layman terms, which is so powerful because again, you called it before, we overcomplicate stuff. We're looking to become the expert to put that badge on our site or to overcome our own self-doubt.
Yeah. And like the biggest lesson I've learned is just like keep it simple and like just one foot in front of the other, same path, same trajectory. Like stop doing like 50 freaking things and just like focus on one. One thing that I want to emphasize is, and this is like now how you start doing like what I call four-dimensional scaling. And I want to show you guys how I scaled from $10,000 a month without ever running an ad. Started with that one service, which in my case was HighLevel automations. Now, if I had to do everything over, it would literally be voice AI plus the appointment booking bot to kind of solve that one problem. You're going to build relationships with your clients. You're going to get to know their industry. You're going to talk with them, see what they're struggling with, identify the challenges that they're facing. And the reason that you're going to do this is because what's going to happen is as next logical steps go, you will naturally learn more and more about HighLevel, become more and more passionate about HighLevel. And the more you learn about your clients and the more you learn about HighLevel, there's going to be those natural synergies of problems that you can solve. So you always start with one service. That's how you start building your client base. But then as your knowledge expands, you can start upselling and selling more to your clients and fixing more problems. This is how you grow the business. It's you figure out one thing first, and then you start, like, as you learn more about HighLevel, you start fixing all the other problems. So if your clients need a new website, you can use the funnel AI to build one in, like, I kid you not, 3 clicks, where you just select your client's name and then you pick the niche, what the goal is, and then the tone. And then HighLevel is going to spit out a funnel for you that you can sell that website for 2 to 3 thousand bucks. Or if you don't even want to use AI, HighLevel already comes with like the thousands of templates that you can start with. But now you can solve the next logical problem that your clients start to face. If your existing clients need help with their Google reviews, this is a company called Podium. They charge $600 a month for reviews and they're worth $3 billion. And just like how in less than 15 minutes we were able to set up the voice AI, we can do the same thing with HighLevel's review AI bot. by just coloring in between the lines, just like we did with the last one. But what I want you to take away, and like, don't make this mistake here. Like, the incorrect way of doing things is to like get three different services and start selling them all up front. The correct way of doing things is like have the one service you start off with and then start building that relationship with clients and finding out what are your needs. And then you can sell things on the back end. The mistake beginners make is they try to sell everything up front and it just comes off as verbal vomit to your client, when the correct approach is pick one thing, that's what you sell. And then you have all these other things that you can solve in the background. And so, what I want to emphasize here is that my path to wealth, what I did, what you can do, is I learned a single high level skill. In your case, you're learning AI here. I used those strategies that I talked about to start getting my first couple of customers. The more that I learned by nature of just exploring and being curious, the more I was able to upsell, the better the results I was able to get. Use the AI to deliver the services, and then in one way, shape, or another, you ask your customers for referrals, whether it's going to their conference to speak on stage, whether it's asking your national CMO to, hey, who's the CMO of the marketing agency that you guys work with, so you can connect with them. Hey, do you know any gym owners in the town over? Do you have any other gym owner friends? Hey, do you know of any groups or conferences coming up in the gym space if you're working with gym owners? Whatever it is, there's going to be some kind of creative way for you to have your clients bring you more clients without you having to learn how to run ads. And so far, what I've shown you is number one, how easy it is to set up high level AI. I've shown you three ways that you can get $10,000 worth of leads in just like the next 24 hours. I've shown you how to upsell those leads and scale your services. And kind of the last thing that we have to talk about here is how do we sell high level? Now, before I go into that, what I want you guys to understand about sales is that like we all kind of go into sales with these toxic beliefs. We watch movies like The Wolf of Wall Street or any movie where there's a used car salesman, and then we think like that's what sales looks like. And I know this because I used to have those beliefs. I used to believe like you have to be aggressive or you have to be born a salesperson because you hear that like that salespeople can't be trained. And I'm hoping like whenever you see this picture of me here, that you also start to see a theme. And it's that when I got into entrepreneurship, I had all these misbeliefs and incorrect beliefs about how I was going to go. But once I actually started getting into it and trying things out, I saw that it was wildly different, especially when it came to high level. And the reason for that is because high level sales, it's like the opposite of the used car salesperson. You're never going to find me on a sales call convincing a client to buy high level. Instead, I'm taking a completely different approach with them. And we're going to get back to the slide in a second here. But the approach that I'm taking is just identifying the problem that they have. I'm identifying how much it's hurting them. I'm offering to fix it and I'm creating a win win. And so, what that looks like is let's say I'm talking to a client and we're talking about voice AI. I'm going to start asking them, I'm like, oh, how's your call center doing? Do you know their metrics and their performance numbers? And they are, because call centers tend to report on how they're doing. Cool. How much is that bringing in for you? Or how much is that? What's your expense with that? Okay, gotcha. So if you're at a 10% conversion rate, and I know that I can get you to 15%, that means you're missing out on 50% of your revenue, and that's costing you $100,000 a year. And so if I'm able to bring in an extra $100,000 a year in revenue for you, would that be worth you paying me 6 grand, aka $500 a month? I'm always bringing it back to the value. I'm not selling the product there. Notice how the entire time I never even mentioned voice AI or high level or anything like that. It's just if I can fix that problem for you, if I can fix your $100,000 a year problem for you, would that be worth $6,000? Perfect. Yeah, this is how I can do it. Sign right here, Mr. Client. And I'm going to give you a free demo so that you can see that this works. If it doesn't, you pay me what you think it was worth. This is how you start selling annual subscriptions to something like voice AI, to something like SaaS. It's you always annualize the pain that they're feeling when you offer to fix it. And so I'm hoping that you guys see that sales, the way that you do it with high level, it's something really collaborative where you're just trying to figure out what's a deal that works for the both of us. And you're just outlining the value in it for the client rather than trying to beat them over the head why they need voice AI. Because let me tell you, somebody that doesn't think that it's a problem, that they're missing out on 20% of their phone calls, which by the way, That's the average metric of a local business. They miss out on about 20% of their phone calls, or that they have a call center that's performing at a 10% rate. If they don't think it's a problem, they're not going to buy for you because they're not in pain. But once they are in pain and you exacerbate that pain by having them put a number and figure out like how much it's costing them, and you offer to fix it, you're coming in from that doctor mentality where doctors aren't selling you on doing XYZ medication or treatment because they're there to help you. And that's what we're there to do for our clients. But once again, I want to emphasize that my success, it did not come from something complicated. I'm like not in, I'm not, I don't know if it's like intelligent or hardworking or determined enough to like make this super complex thing and then scale it to $8 billion. But everything that I did came from something super simple that I'm confident like a fifth grader could just copy what I've done and have that same level of success. And you can too, where it's learn a single high level skill, get a couple of customers, upsell as you learn more, have AI delivering the services, and then just asking for referrals. And I really want to put it into context because like this is one of those things where it legitimately is this simple, and overcomplicating makes everything into a mess and makes it way harder than it needs to be. But if all that you did is you just got a single client a week at $500 a month, to put it into context, that's $26,500 a month of passive income that you would have 12 months from now, just by doing something that's stupid simple over and over and over with consistency. That's all it would take. And I'm willing to bet right now that if you were to spend 40 hours a week just trying to get a single client, tell me you wouldn't be able to, because you know that you would, especially when you have a product that's this good. But then even if you only did half as well, that would still be $13,250 a month in income. And let me ask you, would you trade your current income source right now, where you're working 40 hours a week, if not 50 or 60, to have this kind of income? Because if you would make that trade, then there's only one thing left for you to do, and it's take action. Because I've shown you the business model, I've shown you how to get leads, I've shown you how to close those leads. So this is really all that's left. And so, if you guys are interested, start that free trial of Go High Level. You're going to get 30 days of access. That is way more than enough time for you to get results with this, for you to see how it all works. You're going to get access to my SaaS snapshot, which, once again, in a nutshell, just means that most of this is going to be pre-built for you. So you don't even have to build it from scratch. Like, I don't know how much easier it can get. And then you're going to get free access to my marketing community, where I'm going to get to work with you, going to get to meet you. You're going to come on live calls with me and get a way more in-depth education and high level, see exactly how I'm doing it. And so with that said, please leave a comment down below, because I'm going to be reading them. I'm going to be responding to them.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of new faces that have tuned in, Bruno. Look, someone could start an SEO agency. They could start a copywriting agency. They could start a VA agency. Why is it best to get started at least with the AI agency as a product suite rather than doing the manual individual kind of work?
Yeah. So I'd say there's two things there. And number one, like, let's just for a second put aside the manual work that it takes to start any of those other businesses, because that's something on its own. So that we can already acknowledge like the advantage of AI and SaaS there, that the work is automated. That's an easy one. But the more like sinister reason is because, like, when I first got into SEO, I really underestimated like what does it take to learn how to do this, where it what like in the marketing space you can go and buy a course, and you like for a lot of industries like that's enough. Like you'll go learn Facebook ads, you'll learn high level, you'll learn this, you'll learn that. But with SEO, what I found is like buying a course isn't enough. You have to like buy a course, go to the in-person mastermind, like have drinks with XYZ speaker, like if you really wanted to know what worked. And it was like this entire dark web of like what actually worked. And it's like, if you're a beginner, that is a nightmarishly high bar to set to be able to get your clients results. Because with SEO, you're competing with other SEOs. With high level, you're not really competing. Like, let's say there's 3 plumbers on Google, their SEOs are all competing with each other. But then with a high level based business, you're not like competing against another marketing agency necessarily. Like there's not that direct level of competition. And so that's what I would say is like the number one reason why like I'd recommend somebody get into the AI in high level business versus some of these other marketing areas because yeah, just like the pool of what you have to learn to be successful in them is just so much deeper than you would imagine. And it's so much deeper than it's made it out to seem.
And during this journey, next question is around how do you stay motivated? Like someone that is really committed can stay in front of the computer for 12, 14, 24 hours. They can have tons of coffee, energy drinks, whatever it is to stay focused. Could you put the line in the sand when it comes to busy work, productivity, and then like you don't have to work harder or longer to get what you need? Could you share a little bit about that experience and what you do to kind of keep fresh, man? Keep excited without deteriorating your mind, body, and like passion.
Yeah, so actually, I got like over 30 videos in my mentorship program on this topic alone because the number one dream killer has nothing to do with the business model. It has everything to do with entrepreneurs giving up way too early, losing motivation, losing discipline, losing focus. And so I'm just going to start sharing, and you let me know when I should stop because I could go on this for like 4 hours. But if I had to boil it down into like, let's say two or three core areas, it's number one, like eliminate all distractions where the amount of willpower that you have to put into doing something is way lower if there aren't as many distractions around. And so put your phone in a different room, tell your spouse to not talk to you and to like let you close off, like literally isolate your environment, like put up wall blockers. If you have games on your computer, get rid of them. Like number one is eliminate the distractions whenever you can. Number two, it's a lot of people suffer from something called executive dysfunction. And because I'm not going to have time to go like super deep into this, like I suggest like maybe Googling it at some point. But the short answer is 90% of our brains are wired where we have to be able to break tasks down into individual step-by-step levels if we ever hope to get them done. Otherwise, our brains kind of just give up and then go on to the next thing. And so it ends up with a lot of uncompleted tasks. And so how do you do that? If you have a mission or a goal, the night before, write down exactly what you're going to do and map out your day, exactly what you're going to do. And kind of the number one activity that I recommend somebody start with is what's the revenue generating activity? That's always your priority because it's always going to be the hardest thing to do. It's going to be some kind of client acquisition. And so every business owner, that's what they should be starting their day with. And then when you're feeling tired, a little bit groggy, a little bit burnt out, that's when you go do the boring admin tasks that you can throw on some fun music, listen to that in the background where you're just handling kind of like that admin work that doesn't require like 200% of your focus. And so that alone right there, I'd say is like the two really big things. But then there's a third, and it's you really have to understand how external factors affect your motivation and focus. So here's some examples. If you're a male and you've never gotten your blood work done and you have no idea what your testosterone levels are at or what your estrogen is at, then you have no idea what's the engine in the car. And is that engine even optimized? That's an example. If you're spending all day eating junk food and you don't understand how, if you have a gigantic breakfast, you're going to spike your insulin and then you're going to have a energy crash at like 1 or 2 p.m. If you don't understand that, then you're not going to understand why is it that I'm having an energy crash every day after lunch or at 2 p.m. If you don't understand that maybe you should wait 90 minutes before you have coffee, you're going to blow up at that, like also at that 2 or 3 p.m. mark. And so there's a lot of sabotage that happens on kind of a health level that you can't willpower your way out of because it has to do with the engine in the car and then the fuel that's going into it. And so, like, once again, trying to speed run through what to do here. Um, and I'd say,
I
like,
appreciate it. I think
yeah,
that
yeah.
that alone is powerful. And the engine is the mind and the body and just really understanding that. And someone may ask, well, how does your estrogen and your testosterone and coffee, well, your body is what's keeping you in front of the computer, what's keeping you going on the mission. As people get to know you, Bruno, I think they'll start to unpack the why around how you teach and you present things, and that's pretty exciting. For those of you that are just tuning in, there's some information below on how to get Bruno's snapshot, how to get into his community, how to be part of his learning ecosystem.
Don't let this be one of those things where you say, oh, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start later, because that I'd say is the most dangerous lie and the most dangerous things that keeps beginners stuck. It's they always think they have an infinite amount of time, but every day that goes by, if you tell yourself it's okay to start tomorrow, you're going to say the same thing tomorrow. And so start now, start taking action now. If you do start that free trial of HighLevel, once again, it's going to be my pleasure to work with you, to teach you the ins and outs of HighLevel, everything that we just like sped run through, like we just had our speed run here. Happy to teach all of that to you in depth, but start now. Do not become that person that says it's okay to do something tomorrow when you could do it today, because that is the nastiest habit that somebody can develop. And I'm saying this after having coached so many beginners and seen what it takes to go from zero to, I have students that have companies way bigger than mine, and I've seen what it takes. And that right there is the number one dream killer. It's the I'll start tomorrow. So start now.
Bruno, thank you so much. To our audience, thank you so much. We have more of these coming your way because of your feedback, because of your engagement. Let us know in the comments below, what was your aha moment? Let us know if you're getting ready to start, which strategy are you going to start with? And also share some of the feedback as you're going along your journey and kicking this off and taking action in these comments. We're excited to see you, Bruno. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for taking the time on just unpacking this, making it fun, but also giving us a chance to get to know your story, because your story resonates with many others out there that maybe believe they're just in their own little world. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, JB.
Yeah. Till next time, guys, we've got more coming your way. We'll see you then. Bye now.